how does this wealth arise? It's if you organize people in a better way to produce products and services that are better than what existed before, and you have some ownership in that company, then that essentially gives you the right to allocate more capital. So there's a conflation of consumption and capital allocation. So let me take Warren Buffett, for example. And to be totally frank, I'm not his biggest fan, but he does a lot of capital allocation, and he reads a lot of sort of annual reports of companies and all the accounting, and it's pretty boring, really. And he's trying to figure out does Coke or Pepsi deserve more capital? I mean, it's kind of a boring job if you ask me. But it's still a thing that's important to figure out, like which is a company deserving of more or less capital? Should that company grow or expand? Is it making products and services that are better than others or worse? And if a company is making compelling products and services, it should get more capital, and if it's not, it should get less or go out of business.
Well, there's a big difference too between someone who's making an incredible amount of money designing and engineering fantastic products versus someone who's making an incredible amount of money by investing in companies or moving money around in the stock market or doing things along those lines. It's a different thing, and to put them all in the same category seems it's very simple. And as you pointed out, it's an attack vector.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's really. I do think there, in the United States especially, there's an overallocation of talent in finance and law. Basically, too many smart people go into finance and law. So, this is both a compliment and a criticism. We should have, I think, fewer people doing law and fewer people doing finance and more people making stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that would certainly be better for all involved if they made better stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Manufacturing used to be highly valued in the United States, and these days it's not. It's often looked down upon, which I think is wrong.
Yeah. Well, I think that people are kind of learning that, particularly because of this whole pandemic and this relationship that we have with China, that there's a lot of value into making things here.
Yes, somebody's got to do the real work.
Yeah.
And like making a car, it's an honest day's living. That's for sure. Or making anything really, or providing a valuable service, like providing good entertainment, good information. These are all valuable things to do. So yeah, there should be more of it.
Did you have a moment where, is this something this idea of getting rid of your material possessions, is this something that built up over time? Or did you have a moment of realization where you realized that?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while. Part of it is I have a bunch of houses, but I don't spend a lot of time in most of them. And that doesn't seem like a good use of assets. Like somebody could probably be enjoying those houses and get better use of them than me. So
don't you have Gene Wilder's house?
I do. Try to be useful. Do things that are useful to your fellow human beings, to the world. It's very hard to be useful. Very hard. Are you contributing more than you consume? Can you try to have a positive net contribution to society? I think that's the thing to aim for. Not to try to be sort of a leader just for the sake of being a leader or whatever. A lot of the time, the people you want as leaders are the people who don't want to be leaders. So, if you can live a useful life, that is a good life, a life worth having lived. And like I said, I would encourage people to use the mental tools of physics and apply them broadly in life. They are the best tools.
When you think about education and self-education, what do you recommend? So there's the university, there's self-study, there is hands-on, sort of finding a company or a place or a set of people that do the thing you're passionate about and joining them as early as possible. There's taking a road trip across Europe for a few years and writing some poetry. Which trajectory do you suggest? In terms of learning about how you can become useful, as you mentioned, how you can have the most positive impact.
But I encourage people to read a lot of books. Just read, basically try to ingest as much information as you can, and try to also just develop a good general knowledge. So you at least have like a rough lay of the land of the knowledge landscape. Try to learn a little bit about a lot of things, because you might not know what you're really interested in. How would you know what you're really interested in if you at least aren't like doing a peripheral exploration broadly of the knowledge landscape, and talk to people from different walks of life and different industries and professions and skills and occupations. Like, just try learn as much as possible. Man's search for meaning.
Isn't the whole thing a search for meaning?
Yeah, what's the meaning of life and all, But just generally, like I said, I would encourage people to read broadly, in many different subject areas, and then try to find something where there's an overlap of your talents and what you're interested in. So people may be good at something, or they may have skill at a particular thing, but they don't like doing it. Mm-hmm. So you want to try to find a thing where that's a good combination of the things that you're inherently good at, but you also like doing. And
reading is a super fast shortcut to figure out where are you both good at it, you like doing it, and it will actually have positive impact.
Well, you got to learn about things somehow. So reading a broad range, just really read it. At one point when I was a kid, I read through the encyclopedia, so that was pretty helpful. And there are also things I didn't even know existed. Well, lots, obviously. And
it's like as broad as it gets.
Encyclopedias were digestible, I think, 40 years ago. Maybe read through the condensed version of the Encyclopedia Britannica. I'd recommend that. You can always skip subjects where you read a few paragraphs and you know you're not interested, just jump to the next one. So read the encyclopedia or skim through it. But I put a lot of stock and certainly have a lot of respect for someone who puts in an honest day's work to do useful things. And just generally to have not a zero-sum mindset, or have more of a grow the pie mindset. If you sort of say when I see people perhaps including some very smart people kind of taking an attitude of doing things that seem morally questionable, it's often because they have at a base sort of axiomatic level a zero-sum mindset, and they, without realizing it, they don't realize they have a zero-sum mindset, or at least they don't realize it consciously. And so if you have a zero-sum mindset, then the only way to get ahead is by taking things from others. If the pie is fixed, then the only way to have more pie is to take someone else's pie. But this is false. Obviously the pie has grown dramatically over time, the economic pie. So in reality, you can have so overuse this analogy. You can have there's a lot of pie.
Yeah,
pie is not fixed. Yes. So you really want to make sure you're not operating without realizing it from a zero-sum mindset. where the only way to get ahead is to take things from others, then that's going to result in you trying to take things from others, which is not good. It's much better to work on adding to the economic pie. Maybe, so creating, like I said, creating more than you consume, doing more than you, So that's a big deal. I think there's like a fair number of people in finance that do have a bit of a zero-sum mindset.
I mean, it's all walks of life. I've seen that. One of the reasons Rogan inspires me is he celebrates others a lot. There's not creating a constant competition. Like, there's a scarcity of resources. What happens when you celebrate others and you promote others, the ideas of others, it actually grows that pie. I mean, the resources become less scarce, and that applies in a lot of kinds of domains. It applies in academia, where a lot of people are very see some funding for academic research as zero sum. It is not. If you celebrate each other, if you get everybody to be excited about AI, about physics, about mathematics, I think there'll be more and more funding, and I think everybody wins. Yeah, that applies, I think, broadly.
Yeah, exactly.